This is my brand new Ruger Max-9 California edition. I want to demonstrate a couple of the problems. First is the finish. As you can see, it's splotchy. When I had the gun at the gun store, I thought this was oil on the surface, but when I took it home and I cleaned it with solvent and oil, that is part of the finish, those little dots. Looks like perhaps rust was on the metal before they did the finish, or perhaps some sort of solvent was splashed on it while they were doing the finish. If it's just cosmetic, fine, even though it's a bit disappointing, but I hope it doesn't cause corrosion. If there's rust under the finish, I don't know. Looks like crap. Okay, but again, cosmetic. The serious issue is this gun is empty. As you can see, it's got to have the magazine in it so that I can demonstrate trigger pull. The safety on the trigger binds. If you don't have your finger perfectly in the trigger well and pull perfectly straight back, the trigger, the safety on the trigger, binds against the side of the trigger. As you can see, I'm pulling with all my strength here. If I let go, pull again. There, if I get my finger further in there, okay, now it works. Basically, there's so much wobble in the trigger and wobble in the safety that if you apply any sideways force, like when you're first putting your finger in the trigger guard, if you apply any sideways force to this trigger safe, it binds against the side of the trigger and then moves the trigger back with it. Let me demonstrate just pushing on the safety. I push to the side and then push back. Notice how the trigger moves with it. Okay, there it worked correctly. But if you apply sideways force, push, the trigger is moving with it, and that causes the safety to activate, hit against the surface, and then the trigger won't go back no matter how hard you push it. See, it just slipped and did what it's supposed to do. But I find that every time I take the first trigger pull, then it happens. If you get your hand all the way in there, it still happened that time. I'm pulling, I can't make it go back. If I release, there it works. So yeah, if you have the perfect trigger pull and you have your finger all the way in there and you always pull straight back, it's going to work. But this is the defense gun. This is a gun that you're going to be using under stress and crazy situations, maybe one-handed. So if you just jam your finger in there and pull, it won't go back unless you reposition your finger, and now it does. And then each successive shot then should work as long as your finger's all the way in there. But this is disconcerting for a defense gun. Again, I find that every time I stick my finger in there, my first pull fails. Okay, there it goes. It's not what you want. I found that if I just stick a piece of heat shrink tubing around the trigger here, then I disable the safety and then it works. But brand new gun, it's kind of a bummer to have to do something like that. Or replace the trigger, of course.